My dad called my diploma worthless as he shredded it. Now he works for the worthless one. Can you imagine the man who was supposed to be your biggest supporter, the one who always told you education was a waste, actually tearing up your college diploma in front of your entire family, mocking every single year of your hard work? Well, that happened to me. But what my father didn't know was that humiliating moment was actually the day he signed his own company's death warrant and launched my career to heights he could only dream of. Listen, I worked 3 jobs to put myself through college. 3. Because my father? He said education was a waste for someone who'd just end up married anyway. He wanted me to work at his construction company, Brennan Construction, answering phones just like my mom did before she finally left him when I was 15. Every single semester, he'd tell me I was wasting money I didn't have on a useless piece of paper. He'd go on about how real work happened with your hands, not sitting in some classroom, learning theories from people who couldn't make it in the real world. But I kept going. Night classes, summer sessions, whatever it took to graduate in 4 years, paying my own way. My older brother, Eddie, he dropped out after freshman year to work for Dad and immediately became the golden child. Dad would bring him to job sites, teach him the business, introduce him to clients as the future of Brennan Construction. At family dinners, he'd talk about Eddie's latest project, while I ate quietly, too exhausted from studying after my shifts to argue anymore. When I made the dean's list, Dad said they probably lowered the standards. When I got accepted into the business program, he said they just needed to fill quotas. Nothing I did was real to him, just participation trophies and handouts. The day of graduation came. I didn't even tell him about the ceremony. I knew what his reaction would be. But Eddie mentioned it at Sunday dinner, and Dad suddenly decided the whole family should go. He actually said, and I quote, "Someone should witness how much money she's wasted on a meaningless piece of paper." Can you believe that? He rented a van to transport everyone, my aunts, uncles, even his business partners, the Donovan brothers who owned the lumber supply company. He made this huge show of it, saying, at least her graduation will be good for something since it gives everyone an excuse to take the day off. During the ceremony, while other parents were taking pictures and crying with pride, Dad sat there on his phone handling work calls. When they called my name for the business degree with honors, he didn't even look up. Eddie actually had to elbow him to get him to stop talking. After the ceremony, everyone was outside taking pictures. Dad walked up while I was holding my diploma, posing with my roommates. He grabbed it out of my hands and held it up to his business partners, saying, "This is what 20,000 in debt looks like." He said, "I could have been making real money these past 4 years instead of playing pretend college student." Then he started reading it out loud in this mocking voice, emphasizing every word like it was a joke. When he got to the part about honors, he laughed and said, "They give those out to everyone now, just like participation trophies." I reached for my diploma and he held it above my head. He said I needed to understand that this paper wouldn't get me anywhere in the real world, that employers would see right through me. He said the only reason I even graduated was because schools were too soft to fail anyone these days. Then he did it. He ripped it in half. Right there. In front of everyone. My family, my friends, his business partners. He tore it into pieces and threw them at my feet, saying, "Now it's worth what you've actually learned," which was nothing. People were recording not to be mean but because they were shocked. My aunt gasped. My uncle told him he'd gone too far. The Donovan brothers, they just looked uncomfortable and walked away. Dad kept going, saying I needed to learn that fancy degrees don't mean anything in construction, which was the only job I'd be able to get anyway once I realized the real world didn't care about my participation award. Eddie tried to pick up the pieces but Dad stepped on them. And that's when Mrs. Donovan came back. Turns out, she'd graduated from the exact same business program 20 years ago and now ran the financial side of their lumber company.